Broly and Ultimate Gohan are two of the most overwhelming raw powerhouses in Dragon Ball history. But what happens when you put them against each other? Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, was born with power so extreme that even as a child he could survive a planet's destruction. His power doesn't just increase, it mutates in real time. The longer he fights, the stronger he becomes, tearing his own past limits until nothing can stand in his way. On the other hand, Ultimate Gohan, or Mystic Gohan if you prefer, represents the absolute peak of untapped Saiyan potential. Without transformations, without rage boosts, just pure, redefined power drawn out by Elder Kai. At his best, Gohan was casually dominating Super Buu, a monster who had absorbed Gotenks and Piccolo without even going Super Saiyan. So who actually comes out on top? The constantly evolving power of a Berserker Saiyan whose strength multiplies endlessly, or the composed godlike might of a warrior who reached perfection through inner potential alone? This is a clash between limitless growth and ultimate refinement. Broly versus Gohan. If you enjoy conversations like this and want to take part in deeper Dragon Ball discussions, I highly encourage you to join the Dragon Ball HQ Discord server, link below in the description. We'll be diving into this topic and more over there. If you'd like to support the channel or even help choose the next battle, consider becoming a channel member today. You can join the flock for just 99 cents a month. Now, without further delay, let's begin. When the Buu saga begins, Gohan is a far cry from the powerhouse who once defeated Cell. Years of peace have dulled his fighting instincts. After unlocking Super Saiyan 2 and saving the world, Gohan shifts his focus away from combat entirely, choosing academics and a quieter life over the battlefield. It's an understandable change, but in a universe that never stays peaceful for long, that decision comes at a cost. By the time of the World's Martial Arts Tournament, Gohan re-emerges under his lighted alter ego, the Great Saiyaman. When he taps back into Super Saiyan, it's clear something's changed. The transformation is still there, but the spark that once terrified Cell is noticeably weaker. Vegeta, ever the realist, immediately points out the truth. Gohan's power has deteriorated. What was once unmatched potential now faded through disuse. This decline becomes painfully obvious during his battle with Dabura. On paper, Gohan should crush him. After all, Dabura's power is comparable to Cell, a threat Gohan once obliterated. Instead, the fight is even. Gohan struggles to gain the upper hand, and Vegeta's frustration grows as he watches the former prodigy stumble through a fight he should dominate. The unspoken message is pretty clear. Gohan has lost his edge. Meanwhile, both Goku and Vegeta have continued to push themselves to new limits. Goku, even in death, finds a way to ascend to Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta, though not reaching that height yet, remains sharp and battle ready. Compared to them, Gohan feels stagnant. Even Goku acknowledges that his son isn't the warrior he once was, shifting his hopes instead towards the next generation, Goten and Trunks, believing they might someday carry on the Saiyan legacy that Gohan seemed to have left behind. When Majin Buu arrives, the difference in strength across the fighters becomes undeniable. Dabura, who had given Gohan trouble, is dispatched effortlessly by Buu. The pink monster's overwhelming power forces Vegeta into a desperate sacrifice, blowing himself up in an attempt to stop him. It fails, and Gohan, already wounded and outmatched, must seek another way to turn the tide. Transported to the sacred world of the Kais, Gohan encounters Elder Kai, who offers an alternative path to power. One that doesn't rely on rage or transformation through an ancient ritual. Elder Kai draws out Gohan's latent energy, unlocking every ounce of his hidden potential. The process is long and tedious, but once complete, the results are staggering. When Gohan returns, he looks nearly the same. No lightning, no golden aura, but the energy radiating from him is immense. This isn't another Super Saiyan stage, it's a complete reawakening. Elder Kai refers to it as Gohan's ultimate power, though fans often call it Mystic Gohan. Regardless of his name, the result is pretty clear. This is Gohan operating at his absolute peak, unrestricted by the limits of his transformation. When he confronts Super Buu, the change is immediate. Gohan doesn't just hold his own, he dominates. Super Buu, who had overwhelmed everyone up to that point, is suddenly on the defensive. Even Gotenks with the Super Saiyan 3 fusion form and training outside the hyperbolic time chamber hadn't managed this level of control. Gohan, without fusions or gimmicks, dismantles Buu with sheer power and precision. At this stage, the hierarchy is unmistakable. Ultimate Gohan sits firmly at the top, surpassing Goku, Vegeta, and Gotenks. Earlier, Goku himself had admitted that he wouldn't be able to defeat Super Buu, yet Gohan does so decisively. Goten and Trunks are left awestruck by their brother's newfound might, realizing just how far he surpassed them. In essence, the Buu saga completes Gohan's arc of rediscovery, transforming him into a scholar who lost touch with strength into a warrior who achieves a level beyond anything the Super Saiyan has reached before. Broly's appearance in Dragon Ball Z Broly's Second Coming stands as one of the most bizarre cases of continuity and power scaling in the entire franchise. The story takes place 7 years after his original debut, with Broly crash landing on Earth inside of a space pod. How he got there? Your guess is as good as mine. Instead of dying, he becomes enscathed in ice and remains dormant for years. Somehow, despite being submerged in freezing water and unconscious the entire time, Broly doesn't drown or die. His body simply endures. It's as if he's less a Saiyan and more of a force of nature, something ancient and unstoppable, sealed away like a mythical beast whose very existence disturbs the world around it. The film even shows how the environment itself reacts to his presence. Violent storms, unnatural weather, and fearful locals who believe evil has been buried beneath the ground. Broly here is portrayed like less of a person and more of an omen. What finally awakens him isn't a battle or an energy surge, it's the sound of Goten crying. The simple noise is enough to reignite Broly's trauma and obsession with Goku, setting him off on another rampage. From that moment, his sadistic nature resurfaces. He toys with his opponents instead of defeating them outright, almost enjoying their helplessness. Interestingly, Videl managed to hold her own for a short time, getting more combat focused than expected before being taken down. Then there's Goten and Trunks, two Super Saiyans who fight valiantly but are completely outmatched by Broly. Broly mocks them, lets them tire themselves out, and chases them relentlessly once their energy fades. And this is where the power scaling becomes insane. According to Daizenshuu, Goten and Trunks are portrayed around the level of Gohan from the Cell games, at least in his restrained Super Saiyan state. However, this takes place in the movie timeline, which diverges from the main series. Here, Gohan has been training continuously for 7 years instead of becoming rusty like in the Buu saga. That means his base form alone should already surpass Goten and Trunks' Super Saiyan form. The movie reflects this as well, as Gohan is confident, skilled, and clearly portrayed as far more capable than his canon self by this point. Goten and Trunks, meanwhile, seem to have naturally achieved the grade 4 refined Super Saiyan state that Goku had mastered with Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber, meaning they can maintain the form without minimal effort, a detail that fits with how easily they later reached Super Saiyan 3 as Gotenks. By all logic, this version of Gohan should be incredibly powerful. Remember, in Dragon Ball Super, he manages to go from being out of shape to rivaling god-level fighters in mere days. In the Buu saga, he effortlessly lifts and masters the Z-Sword faster than Goku ever could. Gohan's latent potential is so legendary, so a version of him who's trained non-stop for 7 years should be unstoppable. Yet, when Broly awakens, all of that power means nothing. Even though official pamphlets confirm that Gohan is using Super Saiyan 2 during this battle, Broly utterly dominates him. This fight is one-sided from the start, and Gohan can barely keep up before being brutally overpowered and left in desperation. At one point, he even tries to lure Broly into a volcano, hoping the lava will finish him off, a clear sign of how far outmatched he is. But even that fails. Broly re-emerges unscathed while Gohan collapses from exhaustion and is saved by the last second from Krillin. This moment drives home Broly's terrifying superiority. Despite all of Gohan's training and power, he's dismantled as easily as if the Cell games had never happened. So, is Movie 10 Broly stronger than his original form? Absolutely. The exact difference is debatable, but his feats and portrayal imply a clear jump in power. During their fight, Gohan's confidence quickly turns into fear as he realizes that even his 7 years of preparation isn't enough. Logically, if Movie 10 Super Saiyan 2 Gohan would surpass his younger Cell game self, then Broly overpowering him so easily would mean that this version of Broly would annihilate his Movie 8 counterpart without issue. And the climax pushes things to an even crazier scale. Broly unleashes his Omega Blaster, a massive energy sphere that dwarfs even the father-son Kamehameha from the Cell games. Instead of Goku helping Gohan from the afterlife, Gohan is joined by Goten, Trunks, and what appears to be the spiritual manifestation of Goku himself. There's been debate for years about whether this is Goku or just an illusion born from Goten's wish, but several guides, even Broly's shocked reaction, imply that Goku truly manifestates for a brief moment. Even with all that, Broly still doesn't seem to be going all out. The Omega Blaster doesn't appear to be his ultimate move, more like an enormous casual attack thrown out mid-battle. The trio initially struggle to resist it, but after Trunks intercepts some smaller blasts, they can combine their strength in a final push. They manage to overpower Broly's energy and send it right back at him. Caught off guard, Broly is engulfed in the explosion, bringing his second downfall. In the end, Broly's second coming reimaginates Broly as something beyond a simple Saiyan warrior. He's treated as a walking natural disaster, a being whose presence alone distorts nature and whose strength allows him to utterly dominate a fully restrained Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. It states a united effort from these three Saiyans and perhaps even divine intervention to finally bring him down, solidifying Broly as one of the most terrifying and mythic figures in the Dragon Ball Z movie timeline. When looking at Gohan in Broly's Second Coming, Movie 10, it's immediately clear that this version of him stands far above his canon counterpart. The reasoning behind this stems from the 7-year period following Cell's defeat. In Toriyama's original manga, Gohan largely abandoned his training during that time. By the time Majin Buu appeared, he's out of practice, far less impressive, and clearly overshadowed by both Goku and Vegeta, who had continued refining their Super Saiyan 2 forms, with Goku even achieving Super Saiyan 3. However, Toei's movie team wasn't aware that Toriyama intended to weaken Gohan in the Buu saga. Writer Koyama and the film staff assumed that Gohan would keep training diligently during those 7 years, and they wrote his character to reflect that assumption. The result is a version of Gohan who feels like a true successor to Goku, a fighter who's been honing his power non-stop and is immensely stronger by the time Broly returns. We see that difference right away as well. Base Gohan is able to stand toe-to-toe with Broly, who by this point is significantly stronger than he was in his original appearance. This is the same Broly who had previously endured Goku's combined full-power attack and survived what should have been a fatal blow, something that was stated to be a 1,000 times boost in a movie pamphlet. Yet here, Gohan, without even transforming, manages to hold his ground, proving he's far beyond Trunks and Goten, who are completely outmatched. He also demonstrates poise and awareness, creating a key barrier powerful enough to protect Goten, Trunks, and Videl from one of Broly's explosive attacks. When he finally acknowledges Broly's might, he also notes that he himself has grown immensely since their last battle. That moment alone reinforces what Koyama hinted at behind the scenes. gains. That movie 10 Gohan represented a version who continued consistent long-term training, something his canon self never committed to. Later in the film, Gohan reflects on his past encounter with Broly, recalling their first battle from Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, which took place 7 years earlier. He mentions that by now he should have powered up considerably since that time. Some fans misread that line as an indication that Gohan had weakened over the years, similar to how he did in the main timeline, but the context says otherwise. The key word, considerably, implies self-assessment rather than regret. Gohan isn't admitting regression, he's acknowledging that even after 7 years of progress, Broly's power still feels overwhelming. If the line had been phrased as simply as, "I should have gotten stronger," it might have supported the idea of decline, but his choice of words instead points to growth and not weakness. Following this realization, Gohan reveals his trump card, which is Super Saiyan 2. Debate around this form has persisted for years as the film doesn't show the trademark lightning sparks, and often with Gohan as an adult they don't. However, evidence strongly supports that this is indeed Super Saiyan 2. Official promotional material for the movie include distinct design sheets for Gohan's base, Super Saiyan, and Super Saiyan 2 state. The differences are subtle but deliberate. His Super Saiyan 2 appearance has sharper features, more intense eyes, and notably spikier hair. Even the battle damage on his clothing aligns perfectly with the Super Saiyan 2 model sheet. To add to that, Gohan's facial expressions in this form mirror his look from the World Martial Arts Tournament when he transformed before Kibito. Guidebooks and production notes also explicitly identify this form as Super Saiyan 2, confirming that the absence of electricity was likely an artistic or animation oversight. This means that Gohan who fought Broly in movie 10 was at least on par with, if not stronger than, his canon Buu Saga counterpart. It stands to reason that a Gohan who trained consistently for 7 years after the Cell games would have reached a power level much closer to his latent potential. Yet, even with that, Broly utterly dominates him. Within minutes, Gohan is completely outmatched. The difference in strength is so vast that Gohan in desperation tries to lure Broly into a lava pit, hoping the magma might end it. Instead, the plan nearly costs Gohan his own life, and he collapses from exhaustion before Krillin swoops in to save him. It's a powerful display of just how far above him Broly truly stands. 7 years of training in Super Saiyan 2 power, yet it's as if Gohan had never advanced since the Cell games. This interpretation is already generous towards Gohan's strength, and it's entirely possible he's even stronger than his canon version here. But even granting him a level comparable to Ultimate Gohan or his peak potential, Broly's dominance is undeniable. He demolishes Gohan with almost no resistance, despite Goku's spiritual assistance from the afterlife and Goten's aid. It's only when Trunks catches Broly off guard with the Ki Blast that the monster is finally overpowered. In short, the matchup is heavily one-sided. Movie 10 Gohan represents one of the strongest iterations of the character before Super's reintroductions, but against Broly, even that isn't enough. This Broly should completely outclass Ultimate Gohan in canon, making their battle a definitive and overwhelming victory in Broly's favor.